Rippity-doo-dah here with another episode of Hunting the Yellow Monster. We are right near the end here, and I have made a decision that we're done with pack openings in this series. Now, part of that is I just want to show something off here, is that we're starting to get overrun with duplicates. So we got one of these here. This is our quote-unquote doubles set. I don't think there's a full set in here. I actually was starting to get overrun with the number of duplicates and triplicates and all of that. And at some point, I just stopped sorting them as closely as possible. Basically, once this box filled up, I was like, this is about as close to a duplicate set as we're gonna get. If I really went through and organized everything, I bet that I'd be close. I don't know, probably about like a dozen, maybe 20 cards. Shy of that. We definitely don't have two Sean Dunstans coming. But to put this into perspective, we've got 1, 2, 3 more of these boxes totally packed to the brim with duplicates, triplicates, quads, and above all of that as well. I also have another box that's about half that size. But I actually use that for propping up the tablet while I'm filming. So basically, I got to the point where I was like, I think that I'm just going to go out and get the singles. So I bought the single for Sean Dunstan to finish our base set. I bought a single Mariners sticker because I needed only that to have a complete duplicate set of those. And then I went and got the last 3 Pro Visions that I needed and the last 3 All-Star inserts that I needed. So the All-Stars, it was Benito Santiago, Barry Bonds, and Jose Canseco. And then in the Pro Visions, it was Will Clark, Mark McGwire, and Doc Gooden. So I have all of those on their way, and when they do come, I'm going to do a final episode of, just showing off the entire set and the collection and everything like that. But I wanted to do an episode on the duplicates. So as I said, I was just getting so many of them. It got to the point where I was just hunting like one card, and I was wondering how many packs I should keep buying for that. I did the last 3 episodes where we had the 5 rack packs, but even like trying to find those rack packs online for a price that was not like really out of hand. But then even getting them, when you're flipping through and you're really only looking for like one card, looking forward to the Provision card at the end and then hoping for one guy in there. I realized I was just like accumulating a bunch of cards that, I wasn't going to enjoy them. They were just going to go in a box and sit under my bed. So once we filled up all the 4 here, I was like, okay, let's just, save any money that I was going to be spending on the rest of this series, and we'll just do something else. But in the meantime, another thing that I was doing with the duplicates, and I've been talking about in a lot of the videos, was that I was just looking for good examples in duplicates that I could throw into some top loaders here. So what am I looking for here? The reasoning, that's not what I'm looking for. The qualification to be in one of these is, just like star players that I liked for some reason, some of them not even stars, and then I was just looking for like a good example with the card, so nicely centered or something like that, something worth throwing into a top loader. So I figured it'd be fun for our what I'm going to call our second to last episode here, to talk and show off all those the duplicates. I guess I'll do a quick little open on these just to show that like we're just overrun with duplicates and triplicates and everything like that. So I was like, let's invest in something else and finish off this hunt by just doing a couple of singles. I was happy to do it for like literally 7 cards and a sticker. If I had given up at some point where I was still looking at like 40 or 50 of them, that wouldn't have been, I don't think, fun. So let's go through who I picked here. Right now they are in order as they would be in the base set, not in any particular order. So we got Jose Canseco, you gotta love him. Mr. Burns softball team, very important player in baseball history. More for what he did after. Got Dennis Eckersley here. I always loved playing him in old video games, and you gotta love that killer mustache too. Ricky Henderson. I'm a big fan of base stealers, so how could I not like Ricky? Got a nice Ricky there. This Barry Bonds is really interesting because this is actually the only card in this stack that I did not get from the series. I actually pulled this on my Instagram channel. I opened one pack of these because on my Instagram channel, I just ordered a bunch of like weird and random and different stuff from the 90s. But one of the packs that came was this Fleer 91, and looking at those cards again is what inspired me to do this series. But this card is from that pack rather than from something I pulled in the series. I think I talked a lot about how much I love Eric Davis. One of the greatest players of all time, and unfortunately just having his career really cut short by injuries. But you look at those peak numbers, oh my goodness, I wish we had more Eric Davis. But I appreciate what we got. Got Hall of Famer Barry Larkin. I pulled so many Barry Larkins, so part of this was just me being excited to get one that was actually well centered here. So we got another Barry. Barry Bonds and Barry Larkin here. Wade Boggs. Every time I pulled one of these in the series, I'm pretty sure I mentioned either Mr. Burns softball team or the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia drinking contest, and calling him Boss Hog or saying that dedicating things to the memory of Wade Boggs. If you haven't seen that and you're into that kind of comedy, definitely worth watching. But we got Wade Boggs here. Sammy Sosa, it's funny because there's some steroid guys that I just couldn't care less about. So I didn't put a Clemens in a top loader, and I didn't put a McGuire in a top loader. But there's something about Slam and Sammy, especially it's just funny seeing him in that White Sox uniform as a 90s kid who grew up mostly in the 90s. Always like to see what he was looking like before then. We got Frank Thomas, the Big Hurt. Why not? We got the Crime Dog. I'm sure I've mentioned a bunch of times that I grew up in Canada. Fred McGriff, important player, not just because he's a Hall of Famer, but who he was traded for, and still the only World Series years for the Jays, even though they got close this year. Eddie Murray, once again, gotta love a mustache. Got a guy who's in the Hall of Fame as well. El Presidente. I lived in Montreal for 5 years, but Expos were long gone by then. But there's still, like, interesting thing about Montreal, you still go there today, you look in the sports memorabilia stores, and there is so much Expos stuff, like they still love the Expos there. So that rubbed off on me a little bit living there. But you gotta love El Presidente as well. Hall of Famer who played the bulk of his career with the Expos, and Tim Raines. Come on, focus for me. Get the rock in there. So, of course, we had to have a Tim Raines. I could basically just say the same thing about Walker. I guess Walker didn't play the majority of his career with Montreal. I also love this card because I know he's not, but it kind of looks like he's just getting hit in the head with that pitch, but clearly he's just fouled one off there. Got to have Juan gone. I like Juan Gonzalez, and I feel so bad that he's just a guy that the sabermetrics people hate so much. Like, it's difficult to be a two-time MVP and have everybody say how bad you are. But I also do, of course, acknowledge I think he was a steroids guy as well. But we got Juan Gonzalez in there, pre MVPs, maybe pre steroids, and that's in there as well. I don't remember if he was a steroid guy, but I'm pretty sure he's one of the guys that Canseco named in his book. Got to have Nolan Ryan in there, one of the greatest of all time. Funny that he never won a Cy Young. Bert Blyleven, I had to look up multiple times that this guy was a Hall of Famer, and every time that I pulled a dupe of him, I was like, I'll just throw him in with the other ones. And then towards the end, I finally was like, okay, we'll give a Blyleven. Dave Winfield. Watching a video about Winfield, knowing that he was basically the guy that got Steinbrenner banned for life, and then he didn't end up being banned for life. But also a Blue Jay in those World Series years. Really good player. Gotta love Big Cecil Fielder. As a Milwaukee Brewers fan, always love Cecil Fielder. One of my favorite stats is that Cecil Fielder and Prince Fielder, his son, ended up with the same number of home runs in their careers. I think it's like 318 or 314 or something like that. Fielder's also just an interesting player because he is like one of the premier examples of a guy who crashed out in MLB with the Blue Jays. Then he went and played for the Hanshin Tigers in MPB over in Japan. Had a monster season, then came back and became a star. Short of a Hall of Fame career, but for a guy who ended up having a late start to his career, that was pretty cool. We got Jack Morris here. I'm having trouble trying to get these in focus, but also not shining in your eyes there. So I'll keep an eye on that. Jack Morris, another one of those Blue Jays World Series guys, but of course World Series with other teams as well. Trammell. I didn't have a Whitaker. Maybe I should fire through these again and see if I could find a sweet Lou Whitaker. Having him next to Alan Trammell would only make sense. Okay, this is one of the only guys that's in here that is like, you might be like, why is he in here? I just really love Alex Cole. I watched a lot of the Indians because I was such a huge Kenny Lofton fan. But of course, Alex Cole was the guy before Kenny Lofton, and you gotta love a glasses guy. Let's see, yeah, you just gotta love a glasses guy. So we've got Alex Cole now. That I wonder. I don't think this counts as his rookie though. Yeah, because he was done one season, so I'm sure he would have been a rookie card the year before. But I just like Alex Cole. Dale Murphy, a guy that I didn't really get to see his peak, but everybody always talks about how much of a star he was, borderline Hall of Famer. The kid, when you grow up in the 90s, you have to love Ken Griffey Jr. Still love the kid, so you gotta have a Griffey in there. Randy Johnson came up with the Expos, so there's one thing there. Man, if they had been able to actually develop and put that together, could you imagine a rotation with Randy Johnson and Pedro Martinez at the same time? But they wouldn't have been able to afford him, and Randy Johnson's career took off after he left the Expos. Edgar Martinez, I don't remember him with the mustache, but you gotta love Edgar. Cal Ripken Jr., another easy choice for one that I wanted to have in here. Just an absolute horse. And one of the greatest players of all time. I really love Craig Biggio. I've talked about how I love having him on my MLB The Show teams, a fast catcher. But I also just love the way that this card looks. It's perfectly framed. It's a great shot there. I think it's a really nice looking card, so definitely wanted to top load a Biggio. In total, there's 42 of these, so we're making our way through here. Tony Gwynn, he's not the hit king in terms of numbers, but in terms of raw ability, there's an argument for Tony Gwynn. I would love to see more hitters like him today. Maybe put it together a little bit more. I guess Arise is kind of like that, but I'd like to see a guy like Gwynn, play a little defense and run a little bit too. Arise is really that one-trick pony there. Got George Brett, another Hall of Famer. Best Royal of all time. Dave Parker, rest in peace. It's so funny that it's a Brewers card. Like the one year he was there, he was an all-star. And as a Brewers fan, that's a cool aspect of this set. We got Robin Yount as well. I've told you I'm a Brewers fan. What more do I have to tell you that I would have a Yount card? Kirby Puckett. Another Hall of Famer, guy who was kind of done by the time I was old enough to really be following baseball or playing video games especially. But Kirby Puckett we got in there. Tom Glavine, maybe I'm not a guy who likes pitchers a ton, but Glavine is definitely one of my favorites. So I remember playing MLB MLB 2001, so before it was called The Show. And they had this mode where you started with a really bad team of players and you could add players slowly to build it up. You got points by playing games, blah, 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 blah. So one of the things you could do is just grab one superstar player instead of building up slowly. And that's what I did. I got Tom Glavine, I remember. And I remember playing a 10-inning game where Glavine threw a no-hitter and struck out 27 guys or something, or 25, I guess. But there was also only one hit in the game, and it was Tom Glavine hitting a home run. It was one of the most dominant video game performances that I've ever had. I don't know why that particularly sticks out, but I just I've always liked Glavine, and I'll always remember that. Another thing that I mentioned too during the series too, I was watching somebody rip some old packs. Clearly, a much younger guy ripping some packs from the '90s on an Instagram channel, and he pulled Tom Glavine, and I just remember him going, Tom Glavine, like he'd never heard of him, had no idea that he just like pulled one of the greatest pitchers of all time. So when I've been using Glavine in MLB The Show this year, I've been saying to myself, Tom Glavine. Look at that, looking so young too. I got 2 of these top loaded. I mean, I've already said a lot about Griffey and Bonds, but that's a pretty good looking card. When I was looking into this set at the beginning, this was a card that was like listed as being like potentially having some value, but I'm not going to grade anything. I just wanted some good examples, and then these 2 are just both really nicely centered. So I was like, couldn't decide which one to keep in there, so that is the only one that I went with too. We got Bonilla and Larkin. Gotta wish every Met fan a happy Bobby Bonilla Day every year. We got Bo. Absolutely love Bo Jackson. Unfortunately, I just never pulled a good... he must have been on like the edge of the cutting sheet or something like that. I never pulled like a good-looking base card Bo Jackson to put into the top loaders. But luckily, we did get two of the provisions. A little bit of speckling on the edge there. It's not a perfect card, but I wanted to top load it. Eric Davis. Love Eric Davis. Got to have him on there. Darryl Strawberry. Honestly, one of the straws that broke the camel's back on this series was pulling 4 strawberries in those rack packs. That really got me thinking. It's like, what am I doing here? Like I'm putting all my hopes on like one card in these things that are like getting expensive and difficult to store, and I'm not really enjoying what I'm doing here. So, but still love Darryl Strawberry, and having them top loaded them there. Then we got 2 all-star cards that I had duplicates of. We got the Rhino, and we got Ken Griffey Jr., of course. R.I.P. Ryan Sandberg. And got, once again, 90s kid, gotta love Ken Griffey Jr. So there's a few cards in the set that, so outside of the Jackson, there was a few that I would have loved to have top loaded. I just never really found a great example of. Despite being a Brewers fan, would have loved to have found a really good-looking Ozzie Smith, but it never really materialized. John Smoltz was on that list. Of course, as a Brewers fan, no Paul Molitor kind of sucks that I only pulled 1, actually. I pulled 2 the entire time. 1 was damaged in way back in the beginning of this series, and the other one, of course, ended up going into the base set. All right, so where do we go from here in the series? Essentially, I have the 7 cards that I need, all ordered from eBay, so I'm just waiting for them to come. It's going to be a few days. I think it's actually going to be later in this week. I think this episode's going to go up on a Sunday, and I don't expect to start receiving cards until later in that week. So there'll be a little bit of a hiatus with this series while I am waiting for those to come in. In the meantime, I'm also waiting for a couple of other things to come in. I've got my ideas for 2 more series that I'll be doing. So one of them that I'll be hoping to start soon, I actually just ordered a box of them, is the 1997 Upper Deck Collector's Choice, which is a set that I haven't thought about in years, but I bought a bunch of them when I was a kid. I was looking up some like random singles, and I saw a card from that set, and I was like, you know what? That's the one that I want to do next. I don't think that I'm going to do... one thing that I did learn from this Hunting Yellow Monster series is that I don't know that I'm going to do another full... try and find another full set. It just ends up in so much duplicates, and the longer you do it, the more you just are like, you're like not enjoying the cards anymore. You're just like flying through them, only looking for certain things. And then, just going and buying singles to complete a set is not really something that I want to do, except in this case when I literally only needed 1 more. So the idea, I'm going to have some different goals with that series when I start it. But I'll do it in a similar way. We're going to do pack openings. We're going to talk about the cards. We're going to have some fun there. The other series that I'm looking at is I'm going to kind of keep in the dark for now, because it's going to take a while for me to get the order. And it's going to be something like really unique. So it is something to look forward to. But in the meantime, as I said, this episode is going to go up on a Sunday. And then there's going to be a small hiatus while I'm just waiting to get stock in. So one of it is going to be, there will be a final episode for this Hunting the Yellow Monster where I'm going to show off the whole set in the binder as well as the other parts of the collection there. And then that will finish that one. And we're going to start that Upper Deck series as soon as possible. I think the earliest I can get that is on Wednesday, might come as late as like next Saturday. So there's going to be a little bit of a gap, but I wanted to make sure to get something out so that we had the weekend covered. I still have, there is no rhyme or reason to which of these episodes get like a lot of views. So I've had one go up over 1K, which I never expected would happen, and I'm so appreciative of and really cool. But then I'll have other episodes that are released that'll only have like 40 people watch them. And I can't tell based on like when they're released, or by which I mean like the day of the week, or their length, or there just seems to be no rhyme or reason to them. But I knew that I wanted to cover a weekend for everybody that's been watching these. So as I said, there'll be one more episode where I'll finish doing my post-mortem on this and to really go into how I felt about finishing this setup. But in the meantime, if you've been watching this this far, I hope you enjoyed seeing the good examples, the top loaders here, and I hope that you're still that you've enjoyed this series and that you're looking forward to see it coming to an end, and that maybe you'll stick with me for the next one. But with that said, thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next one.